Oh, microphone.
Good. Good.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Let's see. Sorry, we're starting a little bit late, but at least you have your food. We have a pretty full agenda, so I'm going to make my remarks really brief. Mostly, I just wanted to welcome you back. I know that our all-college meeting was really focused on accreditation the last two times. Remember, we prepared, then the visiting team used it as their open forum or one of their open forums. But I just wanted to thank you for your flexibility with that. And just to give you just a quick follow-up on accreditation, the visiting team has drafted a report. That's going to go to the commission at their regular meeting in June. So we won't get the final outcome until end of June, beginning of July. But again, based on the draft of the report, it's pretty much what we heard at the exit report at the end of their visit. So again, very positive, and I want to thank you all. I also just want to acknowledge recently at the college some of the great events that have been happening in the PAC during the lunch hour, sponsored by Special Programs and Services, Oz Sanchez, and then I think it was last week, we had Andre Chavez, that was sponsored by ASG. So I just want to again acknowledge those of you who made those things happen, and it's just been great for the college community and promoting the use of our Performing Arts Center. So not to take any more time for our agenda, the next item is marketing and outreach. So I wanted to welcome our Interim Vice President of Student Services, Karen Kane, who is assisting Chris with this effort. And just to also let you know, Karen Kane has quite a bit of experience as an executive director of marketing, communication, public relations at another institution. So she's just been really great and has stepped in and helped us think about marketing. We know that we need to grow enrollments and reach more of our community. So she's volunteered to assist us with that. So Karen, welcome and thank you.
Thank you. For those of you I haven't met, I hope that I will meet everyone in this room by the end of the week. But thank you for that introduction, Dr. Bagg, and thank you for this opportunity to talk to all of you. I was raised in a family where my father was an administrator of community colleges, and my mother was a faculty member. So from the time I can remember sitting around the dinner table, we talked about students and what we would now call student success, stories of student success. We weren't using that term at the time, but that is my orientation to the community college was all about the students, what the community college did for students, how the community college offered hope, how the students were grabbing on if they actually knew what was available to them and how they were benefiting. So my whole orientation to the community college was like it was this most beautiful entity that everybody should revere. That's my perception and orientation. So of course, when it was time for me to go to college, I actually wanted to go to USC to be a song girl. I had no idea what a major was or anything. So my parents wisely said, oh no, you're going to the community college, smartest move ever. How many of you in this room are community college products? How many of you in this room are Barstow Community College products? Right. So, and even those of you that didn't attend a community college, it takes a special person to work at a community college because of what we do. We are, as our chancellor likes to say, we serve the top 100% of the students who apply. Let that sink in, because sometimes we get a little discouraged by things aren't moving fast enough or things aren't going the way we want them to go, but we service everyone who applies, who's eligible to apply, which is just about everyone. So that's something that we should be very proud of. And I think we are proud of it, but we're very proud of it internally. And then we start to wonder why other people don't see our college the way we want them to see it. And I've sat in many meetings with you in the last couple of weeks, and no matter what the conversation or the topic is, it's all coming back to we need to market. So what we need to know as a college is we do a pretty good job of outreach. We are outreaching to our K-12 system in ways that we can be proud of. And we're doing some marketing individually, like people are producing things that are particular to their program and they're putting them out. And yet what I'm hearing from everyone is we need to do more marketing. So on that note, first of all, we as the people who make up Barstow Community College need to understand the work that we do and how important it is. And when you look around this college, the grounds are immaculate. It's a beautiful college. I am so impressed with the beauty that is Barstow Community College, and that takes people to make that happen. The faculty are engaged and the students are loving what they're learning and how they're learning it and what they're doing it. When you talk to students, they love this college, beyond a shadow of a doubt. The Student Services Division is providing so much support in the onboarding and then support for the student while they're here. It's very impressive. And the management of the college is doing an excellent job. So really, there's so much to be proud of at Barstow. We know it. Does anybody else? Right? So we were talking, and Chris does a wonderful job of promoting the college through media and through the PAC and through other ways of communicating with our community, but we need to do more. So we were talking, there are, I don't know how many churches in Barstow.
37.
Oh, thank you. 37 churches in Barstow. People do go to church. How many of you go to a church in Barstow or near and around Barstow area? Okay. And every church has people who would benefit from the services and the education that we offer at Barstow, but how are we getting to them? How about all of the community resources in town or the community philanthropic groups? How are we reaching them? How many of you are involved in a community philanthropic group or something that has to do with our service area, not just in Barstow? Good. Okay. So we started talking, who are the best ambassadors, besides our students, who are the best ambassadors to promote what we do within our walls here at Barstow? Us. So we want to give everyone the opportunity to be able to promote Barstow to your neighbors, in your churches, in your groups, and we want you to feel very comfortable with having something to give that shows how a student gets involved at Barstow. Sometimes we don't even know what it takes to get a student into the classroom in your seat. So everybody needs to know what we offer, how a student gets to us, how they hear about us. And a student is anybody 18 and or a high school graduate. So there's a lot of opportunity in our service area to spread the word to people who you may think know about us, but clearly I'm hearing over and over the community doesn't know what we do. So how many of you are willing to serve as what I'll call a Barstow College ambassador to your neighbors, your community, and your churches, and your community groups? Just sort of like wave your hand here. Good. That's a good start, because we should all be willing to promote the work that we're doing here. Because again, in my opinion, and I know in yours, especially those of you who benefited from a community college education, that what we do here lifts and elevates the people around us. We wouldn't be doing this work if we didn't believe in that. So knowing that, we need to be able to spread that word. So Chris has developed a summer marketing brochure and a summer marketing postcard. The brochure is something that we want to be able to give to you to take out to any community group, to your churches, to your neighbors, to anywhere you feel, to libraries, to any location that you feel people would benefit from seeing the information on how to enroll in our summer program. We'll be doing this again in the fall. So Chris, I'm going to have you come up, but I want to thank all of you for the work that you're doing. It's very inspiring to me coming in from the outside to see a community college that a lot of people would say, oh, they're out in Barstow. I'm going to say, you're in Barstow. I love this community, and I've driven around, and I think there's so much opportunity here. So I've watched you, I've listened to you, I see how you feel about Barstow. And you know how in a tragedy they'll say, hey, it's Boston strong or Seal Beach strong. We're Barstow strong. Honestly, the community pulls together in ways that I've never seen. And the people here are some of the finest professionals that I've ever met. So you need to be really, really proud. And we need to spread the word of what we're doing as a community college in Barstow for the people who live in this community. So on that note, I'll turn it over to Chris, who can tell you what will be available to you. But before I turn it over to Chris, I want to say, if you want information that Chris is producing, email Chris and he'll make sure that you get it, because these brochures aren't ready yet, but they're going to be very shortly. If you're interested in providing marketing ideas, apparently we have a marketing work group. We're going to be utilizing the talents of that work group, but so many of you are saying, I have ideas for marketing. If you'll email me, and then I'm going to work with Chris, and we're going to figure out how to incorporate all of your expertise on what your programs need to have a message for our college. So, Chris.
You have a question?
Yeah, that's what the kids have got, right?
Right.
There's a typo, it says Barstow.com instead of .edu.
Thank you. Okay, so this is the cover of our postcard that we're sending out. It's going to be a 6-inch by 11-inch postcard. It's actually, because it's on a projector and on a screen like this, it's actually a little duller and browner than what you'll see the printed piece look like. It's a real bright summer green, blue, and this is a real bright orange. But that's the front of the postcard. And then the back of the postcard shows the easy 1, 2, 3 steps, free application for student aid, and free academic advising. What does that mean for all of us? We have to answer the phone. You see that we've got a big phone number there with a 7702 extension. That's our operator. And we need to make sure that, that we're answering the phone when they call. So this postcard is going to go out to about 19,000 homes, residences in our district. For anybody that's counting, that's all of the homes in our district, or all of the mailing addresses in our district. So that includes Baker, Barstow, Hellendale, no, not Hellendale. Might get down close to Hellendale. Yermo, Fort Irwin, all of those addresses are included. Now this one, we're planning to mail. It should hit the doors next week. So right as we start registration for the summer, this will be hitting the post office boxes and the homes. You go to the next one. This is the trifold brochure. This also is it's printed on an 11 by 17, so it's a pretty big piece. It's on a real stiff paper that's really nice. And it's a trifold brochure, so it starts as 11 by 17, it folds down to a 11 by 5.5 approximately. You got the start this summer again on the front, so it's something that hopefully they're going to associate with the postcard that we already got. It's got different programs that we wanted to emphasize for the summer term. So you've got art, industrial maintenance, political science, child development, philosophy, psychology, sociology. Go to the next. Administration of justice, our student events, the auto mechanics, welding, PE, photography. So great selection. And then we have this important disclaimer down the bottom or announcement that If you want to see the full listing of all the classes that we offer during the summer, you have to go to our schedule. It has, again, phone numbers repeated, the addresses, the website addresses, where they need to go, but it's all on there, and it's all accessible to the people that are going to be receiving it. We're planning on printing 10,000 of these, so 5,000 we'll put out, well, up to 5,000 we'll put out in newsstands and around town in the libraries and things like that we're already contracting with a service to do that. But the real legs on this will be if you'll take brochures and take them out to the people that you know in the community. It can be done through churches, like she said, service clubs, all of that type of thing. But these brochures we want to get out there, and they're going to be available about the same time, mid next week, they'll be printed. So I also wanted to comment just a moment on the website. We've started the process of producing a new website for the college. We've hired a very good company that's done over 200 different websites. We have a brand new employee with us. Amir, why don't you stand up? Amir, oh boy, Penny Ogden. So Amir is our new web content editor. And one of the big differences that we're going to have with this website is instead of it all having to funnel through one person as far as doing the creative, now it's going to be on a content management system that each department will be able to upgrade the information for their department directly on the website. Amir will be more of a gatekeeper in that he'll proof and make sure that everything's like the .com is paid attention to, that type of thing. He will be the gatekeeper for that. So when you press live, it actually goes to him, he checks it, and then it goes live on the website. But it's going to be about our target right now is to get it completed by August, well, by sometime in August, and that's a very aggressive goal. So we're going to proceed with it, and that's what we're going to work toward. We know that we can launch a smaller website and grow it as we go, but our intent is to get it done right away. If you want to be involved in that process, you can email me with ideas and suggestions. You can also send Todd Bartholomew is a member of our committee. Brenda is a member of our committee. Terry, Amir, my secretary, Joanna. So all of us are working on the website as a committee, but we're using all of the ideas that we get from the whole college. So as you have different things that you think would be cool, would be really neat, would be important for our students to be able to see, that's what we need to hear from you. We're real confident on the design. Now we need to work on the content and get everybody working on that and making it right. So we also, in addition to this, we're going to use the same theme and same colors and everything for an online campaign. This is the first time that we've tried this. It's doing landing pages and pay-per-click, is what they call it, and search engine marketing. So it's going to be on the website. People will be able to go to our landing pages. We'll collect their phone numbers, and then we'll be able to call out and try to encourage them to enroll. We're also doing a social media campaign, same theme, same emphasis. And this will go on for about a month, and then we'll get right into the fall marketing. So please help us, and we think we've got a good start going. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen and Chris. Next, I'd like to call up Dr. Morris, who's going to give us all an update on guided pathways, and then I think introduce some guest faculty leaders heavily involved in guided pathways. Dr. Morris?
Good afternoon, everybody. So last week, we submitted to the state. We had a work group that put together a work plan for guided pathways, just a very general idea of how we would go about developing the pathways, what we would focus on, kind of in what order, a little bit of thought into how we might go about spending the money that we will have allocated for having turned in this work plan. So that is something that, again, I want to thank the members of that work group, which it was, I think we had 6 faculty members, had about 3 administrators. We also had Zephyr there to represent CSEA. There were 3 students who were terrific in their contributions to this discussion. About as active as I have ever seen students in any discussion I've been involved in on something like this, actually. It was really great. So want to say thank you to everybody who worked on that. The faculty members who were there were largely a group that went to a training that several of us went to in February in Pomona to hear more about guided pathways, to think about what needed to be done, what needed to be developed. And you want to put up the PowerPoint for guided pathways? Kiri Freeman was one of them who had gone to a previous training, and then the other 6 went to this training in Pomona in February, and their names are about to appear in front of you magically, I believe, on the screen. And I could remember them if I tried very hard. Nance, Beverly, Eduardo, Jamie, Denise, and Susan, I believe. And so, did I miss somebody? Probably did. At any rate, they came back pretty enthused, I think, and were willing to put together a PowerPoint that was presented at the all-division meeting last week for faculty. And that went very well. I thought it was a really good performance. So we felt that even though that presentation was largely developed for faculty, most of what they were saying was still really applicable for everyone. And so we thought that it would be good for them to repeat that presentation here. So I'm the opening act, and if you've ever been to a concert, you know what you really want is for the opening act to get out of the way and let the real performers come on. So Nance, Beverly, it's all yours.
We're sorry to disappoint. We're not guest faculty. You're actually stuck with us for the foreseeable future. So you know. So, next slide, please. All right. So, we need to get on board with guided pathways wholeheartedly, and we're laying out why here. The Chancellor's office says that we're doing a great job, but we need to work smarter, not harder, and we want guided pathways to be a smarter way forward to serve our students. So we have a national movement with guided pathways. There's strong evidence to support it being implemented, and we want to make sure that Barstow College is on board and leading the charge. And in case you don't believe in that kind of buy-in logic, we have a case in point from guided pathways gone wrong when faculty do not engage. And it's the case of the University of Wisconsin at Stevens Point, where 13 majors right now are slated to be slashed. They include such fundamentals as art and English and history. And they're being slashed because, in large part, because faculty did not engage well with the guided pathways process and didn't market and advocate for their programs. We don't want that to be our future.
And just to add in there, the college isn't saying this is going to happen here, all right? So don't go away or walk away from this meeting thinking that is going to happen. It's not. However,
we don't want to be Stevens Point. We want to be Barstow, right? So we never ever want to see English and art and history. We don't want to see those kinds of cuts. And the way that we prevent those kinds of cuts from even entering anyone's mind is we actively engage and we get on board and we have guided pathways that serve our students well. Okay? We need to guide our programs, faculty. We are our strongest advocates for our programs, for our students. Lots of times students come into biology and they're like, I'm going to be a nurse. I'm like, really? You don't like blood? Have you ever considered fish biology? So we are here to open up their eyes to other options along those pathways. Because I'm trained as a fish biologist, as full disclosure, so I advocate strongly for fish biology. But we can define success and how we measure it and set goals for success, or we can have it set for us, and we don't want it to be set for us.
and I think something that we should also look at, and definitely we need to consider, is talking with our students to see how the path has been working for them already as we do set up our new guided pathways. Okay, what have been their challenges that they faced? What has been smooth for them? And how we can incorporate the old and the new.
Right. And we also want to be able to give our students good advice on things to take within a program. So if they're going to, like the elective, so if they're going to go be a fish biologist or a nurse, okay, if you want to go save the world, fine, but fish need saving too, just saying. So I recommend my students take a drawing class. And they're like, why in the world? But I can't draw, Randy. I'm like, yes, I know. That's why you take the drawing class. And they're like, but a nurse doesn't need to draw. And I said, you're right, probably, right? You can draw a stick figure and mark the wound on your chart. Good. But drawing increases your observation skills. That's why you take it. And I'm sure that in all of your different areas, you can make those kinds of connections and give students the information that they need to build a holistic path and approach. This is the infographic from the Chancellor's office. They like to talk about the 4 pillars of guided pathways. I don't know how they get pillars and pathways to work because, you know, I do a math and we're off in the wilderness, but whatever. Okay.
It's going through the pillars down.
That's got to be part of the dance number that I didn't get the memo on.
I'll share it later.
Okay, good. So the first thing we want to do is we want to clarify the path that students are going to be on. We need to get them onto the path so that they don't get lost is the idea. We need to help them stay on the path with support services and inputs that will keep them moving forward. And then we need to, of course, ensure that they're actually learning something while they're on the path and then when they're finally off the path, graduated. All right. So we have to design ways so that students can timely complete their path. So 2-year plans kind of a thing. And we need to simplify those choices that can often derail students. I have a student right now in one of my Bio 2 classes that is in love with the catalog and everything that could potentially be offered. And as much as I adore her, I don't need to see her for the next 6 years trying out all those different things. So we need to help her and all students find ways to get through quickly and on to the next step. We need to do a good job of bridging K-12 and the community college. So the science department is thinking about hosting a science night, for instance, so the community can come up and Emily can blow things up on stage. That'll be great. And Scott's going to do some dinosaur dance, but he doesn't know about that yet, so don't tell him. Okay? So we're going to do things like that. And we need all of us to be looking at ways that we can bridge that gap, looking at how we can get our clubs on campus, interacting with clubs at the high school level, perhaps, and bringing students here to engage with us. We need to be sure we've designed strong supports for students to have supplemental instruction in classes, tutoring that meets their needs when they need it, and the whole support system so that the students can stay on the path and keep proceeding down that path in a timely manner. So at that lovely training we went to in February, everyone liked to do this snap thing, which drives me absolutely crazy. So yeah, thanks, Nance. So one of their snapping moments was come up with what you're going to take back to the college. And so we did, and we said, we're going to roar right through this. I don't know that Vikings roared, but you know, think of it as their battle cry. So that's something else different. We need more coffee. All right, so ROAR for us stands for research. What data do we need? What data will help us provide the best outcomes for our students? Then outcomes, you know, how do you know that they're learning anything? We have to assess those outcomes so that we can show others that they are learning. And then we need to reflect on what works and what doesn't. And that's how we envision implementing guided pathways, is using the ROAR process.
I think what the biggest part is this is a living document. It's not that once we come up with a plan, this is it, it's in concrete, where it's going to be evolving. And we're going to make some mistakes, hopefully very minor, but it will give us the opportunity to adjust and move forward again. Okay, so that goes with the reflection.
So our next steps we saw at the training, or we need to gather data. We need to explain the data, where are the gaps right now. And we need to have lots of discussions with food to get guided pathways rolling forward. Coffee is definitely a must as well. We need to develop a common language so that we're all on the same page for talking about guided pathways. So when I say the STEM pathway, you stop looking at me like I'm from the moon. You know, or when we have a STEAM pathway, which incorporates arts, we all know what we're talking about. We need to look at developing meta majors so that students can clearly see their options. As much as I'd love a biology major here, I don't think that's likely, but a natural science major is, which then would allow students to go off to the next step and be a biologist or a chemist or, heaven forbid, a pre-med major. So, and then we need to leverage the relationship ASG has to help with students to help bridge the K-12 and college divide and build a bridge over. And now Kiri.
Okay. So as we talk about guided pathways, they can seem to be a little bit abstract, right? The path, the pillars, the what are we doing? So I created a draft of a template for what a guided pathway might look like and what constituents it might need to have. This is a draft. There are a bunch of them by the sign-in sheets, and I'm going to put some other stacks out on the tables right now. Ultimately, of course, the format of pathways will need to be approved by Academic Senate and by the Curriculum Committee. But so this is, again, just a draft to get people thinking, what does a pathway look like? So what's the name of the pathway? Okay, let's say it's the STEM pathway. Why are students going to take this pathway? What kind of jobs will they be able to get into?
Fish biology?
Nursing school. Fish biologists. Fish biologists. As we know, many of our students that are taking STEM courses want to go into medical fields of various kinds, but there are also the ones who want to become ichthyologists, and we cannot forget them. Students, of course, when they come to us, do not necessarily know what is available, and they might say, well, I want to do pharmacy tech or something, but they don't know all the things that are out there. So part of our job is to make sure they know what all the options are. Where are their interests? What things are they best at? What pathway can we get them into? So if they do this pathway, if they do the STEM pathway, what kinds of programs are they able to transfer into? What are the major skills, the competencies, the areas of knowledge? Jobs and job markets change, academic focuses change, but if we have students that have strong skills and competencies when they come out, they will have the adaptability to hopefully kind of place themselves no matter what happens. Okay, so really simple, what are the major courses? Maybe you're going to start out again, maybe you're going to do the STEM pathway. Maybe that involves an ADT. Okay, so there are core courses that the student is going to have to take. But then what are some suggested electives? Well, if you're going to be a physician's assistant, you probably want to take Spanish. If you're going to go into wildlife biology and conservation, you might take Geology 4 to get some vertebrate paleontology knowledge. And of course, drawing. One of my most horrible moments in junior high was when my teacher at the time in biology mocked me for my amoebas that I saw in the microscope, and my amoebas were, I guess, too abstract for him. So drawing skills are very important in sciences. And this is also where we have our gen ed requirements. We have, don't forget that we want students to do active courses. We want them doing theater, we want them doing art, we want them singing, we want them doing PE. Okay, how will support services be attached? Very dear to my heart as a librarian. One of the major things with guided pathways is that rather than, well, you go to the library if the teacher has time to take you. You know, you go to tutorial if there's a problem. You see counselors maybe once, and then again if there's a problem. One of the things I think is the most valuable about the guided pathways model is that it embeds support services at specific points. If I have students who are in a program leading to transfer, I can actually do scaffolded library inspections, starting with a general orientation and moving on to advanced research skills. Students see the counselors at various different set points, and then of course it's needed as well, so that we don't have, well, you did your ed plan and now you're completely lost. Students won't be seeing tutorial or doing supplemental instruction only when they're already failing the class. We'll think about how to plan and how to embed these things where they're the most helpful for the students. A big one for us, how can courses best be scheduled to serve students? One of the things we heard from students at our meeting was that they're having trouble graduating on time because their courses conflict with each other. And so do we need to change or expand delivery methods? Do we need to have more sections? Do we need to have more courses at night and on weekends so that students can efficiently take the courses they need? One of the things that they do sometimes is they'll take a course that they really don't want, have no aptitude for, and don't care about at all, because if they don't have a full load, they're not going to get their full financial aid. That's silly. We don't want them to do that. Okay, what changes to existing courses and or additional courses need to go through curriculum for your pathway to work? So do we need to add something? Do we need to modify the course content? Is something not articulating when it should? All of those are things that should go through curriculum and we need to start looking at. And then are there needs for resources? Do we need more people to teach? Do we need a new laboratory? Do I need a whole lot more library books? The answer is yes, of course. Okay, so this is, again, just a very general template, just a way to start people thinking in more concrete terms about what this guided pathway thing is.
Okay, so what we've done is Beverly had a really great idea about doing a faculty retreat, and I just kind of tagged on to it.
Yes.
And I said I would drive the bus.
You are, you were.
I still am.
Yes,
I
that's
know.
why I changed it to R. This is under correct.
It's all good. Anyway, so the bus is going to Victorville Friday.
Friday morning, 8 a.m. with breakfast.
Exactly. To start at 9, okay? But really not a real bus.
You need to get there yourself. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes, I know. I'm so sorry about that, Ed. Anyway, we tried to figure out, in order to get this done or even get going with it, along with many other things that are happening here at the college with curriculum, with data, with program reviews, with SLOs, with program outcomes, with what else? I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. Anyway, so what we decided is if we could, in trying to find a time where we can all, faculty can all get together and really start to work together on these different programs and areas, we thought the retreat would be good because our schedules are all over the board. It's hard to get everybody together for any length of time to really sit down and talk. So it was approached to Dr. Bagg and Dr. Morris, the possibility, and they thought this was a wonderful idea. We do apologize in advance that there really wasn't a lot of input from other faculty as far as the time that was chosen for this retreat. However, we really felt we needed to try and get it done before the end of the school year, and May is impossible with all the events that take place here at the college. So Friday and Saturday, part of Sunday morning, we will be working together for those who are able to come. Again, your mileage will be taken care of. If you're able to come back and forth, you will be well fed. Beverly promises that. We will get lots and lots of food, and we will have lots of caffeine to keep us awake as we're doing this. But I really highly encourage you to try to come and participate. If even just for the one day or both, whatever you're able to do will work for us. It's just an opportunity for us to get moving on this very important subject. And I think that's really about all that I have to say. Oh, we're at the Comfort Inn, right? Comfort Suites in Victorville on Mariposa. That's where we'll be at. Okay?
Now we need to transition.
Oh yeah, in service. Oh my gosh, I haven't even had summer yet.
So Nance and I got to today's meeting and said, hey, Nance, we're on the agenda for this in-service planning. Did you know that? No, I didn't know that. But we're here to cheer it on, so yay. So when you've got a great idea for in-service, let Nance know about it. No.
Nance and Nance, it's all good.
You can let either one of us know and then we'll take it and spread the good news of what you want in service. We would like to see things that actually are concrete and in their usefulness to faculty, not abstract talking heads. As much as we love abstract talking heads now and then, and they can give good information, we want solid work time and
To do things.
to continue the
So
conversation.
what we'll do this trip around, everyone, is that if you shoot your ideas to us, we'll do a poll, a survey poll as to who thinks which are the top 3 because, you know, we do only have one day. So we have, and not just one day, probably like 5 hours maybe in that day to do the in-service, okay? So we'll want you to help us with prioritizing. So once the ideas flow our way, we'll put it out there to everybody to prioritize what you feel as a whole are the more important, okay? Dr. Ford.
Just to add that, in service, although, it's an important day for faculty because it's right before classes start and it's a day we're not teaching, so we can get people together. But we do have staff, here that day and involved with this too. So we want the in-service presentation to be valuable for everyone. So we do want to hear from everybody in terms of what you think might be useful for us to put together on that day.
Right, and if we need to, we can break out into different constituent groups if that's the case. So based on the feedback that we receive from everyone. You bring it, we'll deliver it.
That was great. I just really, I'm so impressed, and I mean this sincerely, because I've been looking at guided pathways for several years now, and it's really remarkable. Nance, Bev, Curie, that was a great presentation. I think understanding why we're doing this, Curie's template, getting concrete, and just I think it's just building on your attentiveness to your curriculum and to wanting to make things work well for students, why this just seems to be natural for you all. So really, thank you so much. Thank you for your leadership with this retreat coming up. We want to support it as much as possible. It's really wonderful. And also, just to reiterate the in-service, again, I appreciate you letting us know that there's more that you need, and we want it to work for you. We definitely don't want to control this and have it be something put upon faculty and staff. We want to hear what you need and then build it around that. So I love this, and thank you again for your leadership. It's really wonderful. Next, I would like to invite up our ASG president, Sui Motifau, who, if you may remember from fall, was working so hard to get a wonderful staff-student competition, a healthy competition. So I want to thank you for coming back. Okay, so
Okay. I'm going to be really brief. First of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Begg and all the all-college attendees for giving me and the BCC ASG a chance to speak today. I would also like to thank and recognize our amazing ASG advisors, Interim Vice President of Student Services, Ms. Karen Kane, Director of Student Life and Services, Ms. Joanne Garcia, and my ASG cabinet. For all their continued support throughout this year's numerous events and meetings. I know that we're coming to an eventful ending of the school year, and what's more fun than a good old-fashioned friendly game of softball and snacks. At the game, everyone will be able to engage in sportsmanship as well as a friendly conversation or two. You will also have the opportunity to show off those hidden Jackie Robertson and Jose Canseco talents. The date for the students versus staff game is April 19th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the softball field. We have a softball sign-up sheet in the back and also flyers. If you didn't get one, please let us know. We will also be taking sign-ups at the ASG room for those who would like to sign up later. Overall, we will have a great event, and we hope that for a great turnout. We also hope that we make new BCC memories and maybe even make the students versus staff softball game an annual event for all future students and staffs. Lastly, in the words of Ms. Karen King, we are Barstow strong. And according to Professor Rani, we need to engage not only in academics, as the slideshow say, but also with the students by interacting with them. Thank you for your time, and we hope you all enjoy the rest of your day.
thank you, Sue. I'm just putting it in my calendar. So that was the 19th of April from 5 to 7 p.m. Did I get that right, Sue? Yes. All right. Okay, so that'll be fun. Chris, you have some announcements for for all of us?
Well, I want to be sensitive to the time, so we've only got about 3 minutes left, so let me, I don't know if you've noticed, but if you go around the campus, here in the lobby of the PAC, in the lobby of the LRC, in our student services building, and in the student services cafeteria game room area, we have big TVs set up, and we, on those TVs, we're announcing all of the different college events that are happening. So if there's a baseball game, if there's a softball game, if there's a choir concert or an art show, or we recently had the viewing of the Orion Nebula, all of those announcements are on those TV screens. They're also on the marquees that are out in front, but those are a little harder to see because you're driving by and you can see one of the messages, but you don't necessarily see all of them. But we're making a concerted effort that if you have, that's why I bring it up here, if you have an announcement or something that needs to get out to the whole college, you need to send me a copy of the publicity request so that we can make sure that it gets in those announcements. I also wanted to welcome Ed Will up here. He's going to talk about the upcoming PAC events.
Since I only have 1 minute, there's 3 events. The one opens this Friday, Cabaret, put on by the Barstow Community College Callboard Club. Don't bring the kids. Nobody under 10 will be allowed. It's pretty racy. It'll be a lot of fun. Live band, piano, bass, and drums on top of the set, and it's on the stage. You won't be sitting in the audience. You will be on the stage. A lot of fun. April 28 and 29. April 28 is a Friday at 7 p.m., Saturday at 2 p.m. The Missoula Children's Theater is coming to Barstow Community College. They're bringing their little red truck with 2 actors, but they're bringing all the scenery, makeup, lights, everything with them, costumes, except the cast. So they will be casting 60 of our local children and putting on a show. They'll be rehearsing that week. I have a flyer over there for that. So if you've got some kids in the 1st grade through 8th grade arena that would like to get on the stage, we'd love to have them. And then finally, the Smooth Sounds of Santana will be May 12th. That's Saturday at 7 p.m. And it's going to be an amazing concert. It's going to be right up there with the Selenamos that we had back in January. So come out and see Santana. I'm sorry, Chris said auditions for the kids will be at 4 p.m. on April 23. That's in the handout too. That's all on the table over there. Thank you.
Thanks again, Ed and Chris. That about wraps up our program today, unless anybody had any announcements or questions that you wanted to add. Okay. I just want, before we break, I want to welcome our new member to our Barstow College family, Amir. I met him yesterday, and he brings such energy and excitement and commitment to the college that I really, he's really going to help us with Chris and others to get our website, something he's going to really be extra proud of. So welcome. And also, I want to acknowledge Joanna. Thanks again for bringing food for everybody. I know you do this every month for us, and we don't take you for granted, and Chris as well. So thanks a lot. Have a great day, everybody.